and welcome back to my online music theory course. This is lesson 2 today, and we're going to be learning about ledger lines. A recap from lesson 1 was we learned all about the staff and how there's a treble clef and a bass clef. We learned that the treble clef was also called a G clef, and bass clef is also referred to as an F clef. We showed you how to draw both of them, and we also went through what are the note names on our staff. We've learned 4 sentences. One was every good boy deserves fudge. For the treble clef, we spelt face for all the spaces. And then for the bass clef, we also covered good birds don't fly away when you're trying to find the lines. And all cows eat grass for the spaces in the bass clef. So today we're going farther in the book. Oh, I should mention, yes, we also covered bar lines and how bar lines separate music measures, just like periods separate a run-on sentence. So yeah, ledger lines, you're going to be starting that on page 9 in your book. And I'm just going to start with the treble clef, and we'll go through some ledger lines there and what are ledger lines and how can we make them work. So we'll start with our 5-line music staff. I'll draw our treble clef or our G clef, which you should be getting better at now that you've had a few pages of practice on that. And ledger lines. Now the invisible line that separates treble and the bass clef is located there. And if I was to put a note on that, how do we know what note that is? Well, there's a trick. You find the closest sentence, which you've already learned. So I'm going to use the sentences for the lines, every good boy deserves fudge. So if I know that that's an E for the word every, I have to count or say the alphabet backwards. There's another thing that you can try. We all know the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but we have to go backwards and forwards when we're figuring out what note is on a ledger line. So before E in the alphabet comes a D. And if I go backwards from D, I'll discover who that is. So before D in the alphabet is C. So this ledger line is a C. What if I drew the same ledger line, but instead of having the note right on my line, I let the note go underneath the line? What do? I keep counting backwards. So if that's a C, what comes before C? It's B. And let's do another one. You can have more than one ledger line. You can have 3 or 4 or more ledger lines in our music. So if that's a B, right in between these 2 lines, if I was to draw a note on the next ledger line, that's right, you keep going backwards. So before B in the alphabet comes A. And let's do one more. If that's an A, and I draw another note underneath the second ledger line, I go backwards again, but A's the first letter of the alphabet. So what do? Well, let's draw our alphabet down here. E, F, G. Once you get to the end of the alphabet in music, the alphabet starts over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Sorry, it's kind of messy. So if that is A, before A, seeing as the alphabet repeats, would be G. So we now know that ledger line is G. Now ledger lines don't only occur in between the treble and the bass clef, they also occur above or below treble and bass clefs. So let's tackle another one. We can draw a ledger line above the treble clef staff and put a note there. So again, I find my closest note with the sentence that I know. So we'll do every good boy deserves fudge. So if that is F for fudge or F for fun, whichever sentence you're using, we're going to count up on the alphabet. So here we have F. Now please remember that you can also put a note on top of the lines. So after F comes G, And then next we start repeating the alphabet again. So that ledger line is A. Now if I redraw my ledger line, after A in the alphabet comes the letter B. So that's a B. And let's do an extra ledger line. After B comes C. And we can keep going up. You can have more ledger lines. That would be an E. That would be G. And it keeps going. Okay, let's have a look at the bass clef next. So we'll erase this. And we'll draw our music staff. 5 lines. We connect the staff together, and our bass clef or F clef starts on the F line. Good birds don't fly. I come up to the top, and again you need your 2 dots around the F line. And we'll start down here. But this time I'm going to give us 3 ledger lines. So again, I need to know my sentences because I need to know who this bottom line is so that I can count backwards. So that is G. For grizzly bears don't fight anymore, good birds don't fly away. And we're going to go backwards on the alphabet. So before G comes an F, and then we have an E, D, a C, and then on the lines. So G, F, E, D, C, B, that's an A. Let's do another one here. Let's just do 2 lines, and we'll put a note on the second ledger line beneath the bass clef. So if we knew that was a G, we start on a G, note on the space is F, E, D, and that's C. And we'll just try one up here because I think you're probably getting the hang of this now. So good birds don't fly away. So that top line would be an A. So from A, we'll go up the alphabet. B's on a space. Then we have C on the first ledger line, D, and yes, that ledger line would be an E. So some good practicing that you can do is to learn to say that alphabet forwards and backwards. And you can pick up any piece of music. Even if you're just starting out, you could still pick up an advanced piece of music and look for these ledger lines and practice counting down or up to find the right letter name. Again, if you need any help with the worksheets, feel free to take a picture of your work or scan it in and forward it to me. I'd be really happy to help mark it for you. If you have any questions or you're stuck on any parts of the theory course, again, please send me a message and I'd be happy to direct you. Thanks very much.